They do.
I need you to refer to Tamara only as Madam Treasurer.
Yeah.
All right. I never know how to start it. So, welcome to the American Iron Podcast. Today, we're sitting down with Mike Z, because I'm not going to even try to... I fumble your last name every single time.
I do too. It's okay.
Executive Director of Powerlifting America. And we also have Tamara Lopes, who's the owner of American Iron Gym. Where do we begin? There's a lot to do with Powerlifting America. I'm already shooting a blank. I had something in my head, and I'm already, fumbling.
It's going to be a great podcast.
It is going to be a great podcast.
We have a upcoming national event
Yes.
in Reno.
Actually, in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's coming up really quick. Open Nationals and University Nationals. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, because it's a lot of work. It's gonna seem like. Wait, have you guys checked out the venue?
We've been there
3 times.
a couple times. I've been there once or twice. Reno Ballroom.
I don't even know what it actually looks like.
It looks like a ballroom.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's set up perfectly for having to bring in a lot of weight.
That's the most important
Yeah,
part.
so we don't have to go down a funky, escalator, elevator.
Yeah,
again.
with bench press nationals.
That was bad.
Well, I was kind of hoping to have you lump all the 3 platforms and 9 warm-up platforms worth of weight by yourself.
I mean, if you guys need me to, I will. I'll complain the whole time, though.
I know you will.
And so how long have you been part of Powerlifting America? Since the start?
Since the start.
I know you talked about it yesterday when you did their equip lifting seminar, but do you want to go into a little bit of your history?
My history? No one wants to know my history.
Yeah,
I do.
actually, they do.
Okay. I started powerlifting in high school as a sophomore. We had a team, and there was a Massachusetts State High School Championship, and coach, football coach, strength coach, was a powerlifter. He was more of a bench presser, and you always fielded a team. And I had a friend that wanted to do it, asked me to do it with him, and then he bailed, but I ended up doing it. So that was like 95 or 96, I'm not sure on the year. Kind of got hooked a little bit and started powerlifting. Back then, it was actually the first meet was ADFPA, which became USA Powerlifting.
What was it? ADF?
ADFPA?
Jesus, that's a lot of letters.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with a lot of the old powerlifting federations.
Well, they became USAPL like that year or the next year. And so I lifted in high school once a year or twice a year. And then went to school for exercise physiology and became a strength coach. Worked at Northeastern for about 10 years up in Boston. And we had a couple kids that one was a football player, one was a shot putter on the track team. They were also work study students of ours, and their second year, their sophomore year, they both for different reasons were no longer playing the sport, and they really liked working out in the varsity weight room. And they said, "Hey, what can we do to keep working out here?" I said, "Start a powerlifting team. I'll keep the room open for you." And that grew rapidly. The 2 kids became 3, became the first year at Nationals. There was 3 or 4 of them there. Then became 10 or 15. Next thing we know is like we're cutting 60 kids to get down to 60, which was the most we could handle in the room. And one of those kids, Joe Capolino, has competed 10 years in a row at open equipped worlds. Just won his first world championship, and it's been to World Games twice. And going into 2021, there was a lot of turmoil between the IPF and USA Powerlifting, and ultimately they were kicked out of the IPF. So they were on track to go to World Games, which is the pinnacle of the sport of powerlifting.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to him, like, hey, we'll get you there, even if we have to start a new federation, which basically we did. So that was my purpose for the start of Powerlifting America, was really the athletes that I consider to be family. These are, between Joe and Kelsey McCarthy, they are athletes that help me run meets locally up in New England, and they would be there with me offloading plates till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday night, Monday morning, and have to go to work at 6 o'clock. So, like, loyalty to them is paramount because they've been loyal to me. So, that's the reason why I did it.
I had this question yesterday, but I didn't ask it. So, after they got kicked out of the IPF, what would have happened if there was no, like, new association for America? Would they have just not, like, been allowed to compete?
Basically, Americans would not be allowed to compete in the IPF or World Games.
Yeah.
So you guys really came in clutch, huh?
Somebody had to. If it wasn't us, it was going to be somebody else. So,
because, I mean, Powerlifting America came what felt like out of nowhere, and it was, like, fast. And it seems like it's growing kind of rapidly now, because people are starting to actually see the potential and, being part of the IPF, going to Worlds, all that stuff.
Yep.
Do you think it's going to keep exploding the way it is? Because it seems like powerlifting in general is just having another resurgence.
From my history, we're right around the numbers right now that our former association was at in 2014. They had a rapid growth between 2014 and 2019, and I think we're poised to do the same.
Yeah, I remember, I think 2014 is when I actually, like, started looking into powerlifting, and there seemed to be, like, a huge growth during that time. And then there was kind of a lull, and felt like 2017, 2018.
In that time, I know working with that federation, the nationals were exploding. The first event that we had 1,000 lifters was right around there in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Sorry, my colleague calling me. Apparently he found a biology lab for Mr. Luke Mellon. So, I mean, yeah, I can't say, what it felt like out here in Reno. I know Tamara and Mr. Robert Lopes have kind of run the torch out here, so I don't know if they were as active or maybe they got upset with somebody.
We became all in when Powerlifting America presented the opportunity to us. We felt that, so we've been in this game since the late 70s, 80s. And we saw history repeating itself with the USPF and USA Powerlifting, which both organizations really seem to be focused on how to make money.
Yeah.
And not do the things that need to be done to build the sport for the athletes.
Yeah, it's definitely seemed less about the athletes, and
Yeah. less and less, right?
Just the more you saw even online, it was just all talks about money.
Mm-hmm.
There was never really any talks about the athletes themselves.
Right. So when Mike approached us to help, we were
I think
pretty excited.
You reached out to me.
Did I reach out to you?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you did.
I could have. Be a Leanne.
Probably through a mutual friend.
Yeah. So, but their foundational beliefs and where they wanted to bring this organization, what they wanted to do with it, to create a true nonprofit that adheres to nonprofit rules, meaning the board never receives compensation. So it's truly a volunteer board of directors and executive committee. And I think that's the first step to keep the organization on the right track.
I think that definitely changes the overall attitude of the entire federation too.
Yeah.
Because if you're volunteering your time, you're gonna kind of care a lot more about it. I mean, there's tons of different federations. There's tons of different phone calls.
Your colleague is calling me now.
Our colleague.
So why would I mean, obviously people want to go to like the higher end lifters, top end lifters want to go to Worlds, so you would pick Powerlifting America.
And even athletes that aren't going to Worlds, they want a fair playing field. And Powerlifting America follows the water drug testing protocols.
Yeah.
And that's something that the past federation didn't do. And it was one of the contentions with the IPF. So basically, we hire them as a third party. WADA.
Yeah.
And they choose the people, they perform the tests. It's 100% them, so we're not involved. We're not telling them who to drug test, right? We get the results at the end to know if they've passed or not, but that's it.
And don't they have like their own kind of system for that?
They're friggin' incredible. Well, they work with the International Olympic Committee, so I mean they have a database and metrics and which everyone goes in and because we do out of meet testing too, so they know trends, they know just history. It's pretty advanced on how they choose.
One of the biggest eye-opening things for me was one of the first things we had to do, correct me if I'm wrong, is hire their lawyers, give them a retainer.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why? But why?
Because every drug test is illegal because there's ramifications. Make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. The athlete has all of their rights, which I didn't see in previous federation.
Like kind of like almost like a HIPAA violations and stuff like
All
that.
you're dealing with people's medical history.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't let that get out.
You can't let it get out. You know, and as an athlete, if you have an adverse analytical finding, you fail a drug test, you have rights.
Yeah.
And the notifications that go to the athletes are clearly written. You can tell it's like very legal. Gives them, outlines everything they can do to contest it and what rights they have. You know, in the previous federation, they just got like a short paragraph email that said, "You failed. You want your B sample tested? That's it." And basically say you're suspended for 4 years. Here, it's written out long.
I didn't know that they can contest it either. I guess, because there are like anomalies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I never would have thought. I never would have thought that route would have been taken. I didn't know much about the last federation and what they actually did, and all I ever knew was they were very not athlete based, I should say. But it seems like this federation is definitely more athlete based. So
Trying to be.
I I can see why people would want to pick this over other federations. Because you brought it up, Tammy, the fairness of it all.
Right. Yeah.
Because you want an even playing field.
Exactly.
And I think, if you go to other federations, there's never truly an even playing field.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way they had their quote unquote sophisticated algorithm for selecting who was drug tested. It was one man.
One man?
One man. Everything was controlled by one man with drug testing.
They didn't, they weren't part of WADA or any of that?
Nope.
They didn't use WADA-approved labs.
Oh.
And
then they would, but
Yeah.
they would contract them.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't follow the full WADA process. When you have one person who's affiliated with the federation selecting who is tested, that same person would get the results and issue the suspensions. And it was very clear. They had a committee. If you look through the notes from the Minnesota court case, the committee recommended one thing, and the president overruled them.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to dive too much into that, but
Yeah.
if anybody's interested, you can go read the court cases.
I didn't even realize there was a full court case behind this.
It's more on the transgender side, but there's a lot of relevance there.
That starts to go into very dangerous territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why would someone you have the option to pick this federation versus another federation. Why would someone who's not trying to go to Worlds pick this overall besides fairness?
The quality of the meats. We have standards. Mike, when we get applications to be able to run a meet, Mike reviews those, makes sure that the judging is consistent, that they have a technical secretary to ensure that there are certified judges on that platform. So consistency in judging, consistency in the quality of the meet. Really try to standardize it so athletes, no matter where they go, the experience is very similar.
That makes sense.
Safety. We ensure that certain type of equipment is used for the safety of the athlete on a platform.
What was that look on your face, Mike?
There's somebody poking their head around the corner.
Oh, I missed
giving
it.
me a wave.
I definitely see that consistency at the meets with the judging. I think judging is incredibly important to be consistent at.
Mm-hmm.
You need to breed fairness when it comes to powerlifting, and powerlifting is all about consistency. The second you have someone playing favorites, or the most simple thing is squat depth. That's what I see the most is some judges are harsher than others on depth, but 99 out of 100 times everyone is very consistent in how they judge. What might be considered depth to one judge isn't to another. However, they're not going to change per person. They're going to keep that call. And
Consistency.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think safety is another big thing, especially because I've been on the spotting team for Powerlifting America. We're out there working pretty hard to make sure everyone is definitely focused. And it's not just random people who have never spotted before.
Right.
It's always designated people, or people are getting crash courses. And we make sure always that everyone is safe.
Yeah.
I've seen meets where spotters did not do anything. It can go bad really quick.
It can. You're right. And that's our focus. Number one is the safety of the athletes, right?
Yeah.
And we also want to make sure they're having fun.
I think that's incredibly important.
A little bit more energy, a little bit more fun environment than our predecessor had in their meets.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't stand if a meet is like a golf tournament.
Right.
And everyone has to be quiet. There's nothing going on. It's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that definitely for the athlete. And I feel like energy plays a big role in how an athlete performs in general. If the warm-up room is quiet and dead, everyone's just going to have a miserable time.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a lot of energy going on, just smiles, people being loud, I think there's definitely more room to do better on the platform.
Right. And I think that's the other thing too, is these guys are so approachable. Very different than our predecessors. They're always available. They're approachable. They want to help. So athletes can come up and ask questions and ask for help and make suggestions.
There definitely is a lot friendlier vibes. I mean, I've been to meets before that weren't like the people running the meet were not approachable, were not friendly, and it made it like a terrible time. Makes you not want to ever compete at like
Right.
one of those events again, just because the people putting it on just ruined it. I can't. I think building an environment that's open for everybody is important.
Yes.
And I think a lot of other meets tend to have like elitist attitudes, and from what I've seen, there's not really an elitist attitude at all in Powerlifting America.
One of the things that I constantly remind myself is we are the recognized governing body for the sport of powerlifting in the United States. And we need to be, it's a great responsibility to be fair, to be open, and little things like we recognize for our high school nationals, we recognize independent scholastic events. For example, state of Texas, they have a huge high school powerlifting organization. When I was in track in high school, like if I wanted to go into the USA track and field umbrella, do junior Olympics, which I did one year, I didn't have to like re-qualify in their federation. Basically, you came in there via high school events or at college. Didn't have to redo things. I mean, it wasn't good enough to make that level in college, but there was collaboration there with the scholastic organization. That's why we want to be open and be responsible for the sport of powerlifting. We want to see everything grow, because at the end of the day, when people become good enough, they're going to come our direction because they want to go to Worlds.
Yeah.
They want to go to World Games. Sheffield. I mean, the first time, I don't know what the final prize pool this year at Sheffield, but it was close to $500,000.
Wow.
The previous year, last year was the first year of it. We had an athlete, Jesus Oliveras, walk away with about $40K. I mean, that's a salary for most people. That's probably above the salary for the average person in the United States. He won that in one day for powerlifting.
This feels like the first time in kind of like powerlifting history where there's actual money being given to the athletes.
So speaking of that, Mike came up with a brilliant plan to do a signature series for Powerlifting America. And basically what that signature series is it allows for a limited number during a year to have a purse at their event, an invitational event with money. So these athletes compete for money.
Almost like making it an actual career. Kind of like how like strongman does it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
I mean, the overall goal, long-term goal is, if you're good at powerlifting, that should be your career. I mean, it is right now. Like a lot of athletes I know will spend more time in the gym a week than they will at their job, or almost equal to it.
I can definitely see that.
And they get great experiences traveling around the world and medals and stuff like that. But how long is that sustainable for? If we have an opportunity for athletes to derive a income, support their training, go out there and they have time to go out there and get sponsorships and further increase their motivation in powerlifting.
I think all that'll do too is just make the sport more popular.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to. I mean, if you look at it from like just a general team sport standpoint, kids grow up, they want to be a football player, want to be a baseball player. I don't think kids are really ever thinking, hey, I want to be a power lifter.
Right. Except kids in our gym.
Yeah, I mean, we have.
Kids in our gym, that's what they want to grow up to
They
be.
definitely. I mean,
and
or a
yes.
they've gotten scholarships for it.
yeah, which I like that direction.
Yeah.
I think more colleges and universities need to.
Yeah, that's something new in the past, not quite 10 years, where universities are starting to offer scholarships. 'Cause they see, like, the athletes want to do that. Athletes want to, I mean, just like some athletes, the kids are getting scholarships to play video games now.
That is true.
You know,
Yeah, there's even courses and stuff on like video
Yeah.
games.
yeah.
It's kind of. I mean, if video games can do it, why can't powerlifting?
Right. Right.
Exactly.
It's pretty cool. I mean, one of our kids got a full ride scholarship and he wouldn't have been able to go to college. I mean, he wasn't in a position to be able to do so. So it's pretty exciting.
I think it's an amazing opportunity. I think it's also like incredibly important because I mean, a lot of kids, they're not fond of team sports. They don't want to play on a team.
They don't have the confidence to do
that,
so.
yeah. And then, so a lot of people like they go to like lifting weights or powerlifting or any of that, and that's solely on them, and it allows them to do that, and it builds their own confidence, and now they have opportunities with that to keep going.
Yeah, I think that's one of my greatest joys in the gym is when we take a kid that comes in that has absolutely no confidence, won't make eye contact, is so insecure and doesn't believe in himself, and watch them bloom and grow through the sport of powerlifting.
Yeah, I love that too. I think that's like, I think it's very important just for like kids in general and adolescents to find a sport like this.
Yep, I agree.
It just opens up tons of opportunities. And I think, because I mean, I've seen it. Like, I have clients that are like 15, 16, and their lives are starting to like evolve into, I want to just do this for the rest of my life. And I think it's just like, it's amazing to see.
It still perplexes me because when I was competing, that was when we had to like chisel the weights out of rocks, to put on. So anyway, back then, even at an IPF level, every other country made money. They were subsidized when they were on a team, on their country's team. They made money for setting world records. They made money for being on the team. Their education was taken care of, their housing, their food. And in the USA, we were unique because we weren't. We paid to go to Worlds. We paid, the entry fees and the travel and got no subsidies for competing with the U.S. teams. So this is pretty exciting for me to see the change in where U.S. athletes are actually getting some assistance to be able to be U.S. athletes.
I think it's amazing to see. I don't know why America was so behind on that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
America is a capitalist society and just got to find a way to make it profitable all around.
So, I just think it's very interesting because I mean, if you look at just like Olympics in general, I don't think we pay our Olympic athletes either.
They do have contracts with their national governing body. Some terms there's documented. There was issues with women's soccer, feeling that they were paid less than the men's soccer team from USA Soccer. It's a very interesting case because back then, if you looked at the two different contracts, the women wanted like security, healthcare. The men didn't have that. They just were purely performance bonus. And if they just switched their contracts, they both would have been better off. So there's a lot to it. I don't know all the ins and outs, but I was following in that last few years. So a lot of the Olympic sports they'll put the athletes up in the Olympic in Colorado Springs or the place out in San Diego, by San Diego, I forget the name of that one, or Lake Placid. And it's not, they're not making millions.
No,
but
yeah.
it's enough to get by and focus on training.
Sustainable.
Yeah. So ultimately, I want that for powerlifting, but we're going to be a ways away.
It's still the early stages. But, I mean, that seems like a definitely near an end goal, is making it accessible so people that want to make it their livelihood can.
See, this is the first time a powerlifting organization has been a true nonprofit. Right? Everything we have done to set up this organization is following the process to become a nonprofit, and we are a 501c3. Because of that, we can work on foundation money and grant money to be able to get our teams subsidized for their travel, their entry, their hopefully to the point eventually of some cost of daily living expenses.
I mean,
my first dream is the first step I want to achieve, which I think will be a 5 or 10 year goal. Is if you go to nationals and you win your spot on the national team, we're offering you a contract where the base is, what's your home airport? Are you bringing, a spouse or loved one? How many days do you like to be there before you compete? Would you want to stay for the banquet? And what size of uniform are you? And you fill that out, and we mail you your plane tickets, your hotel reservations, your team uniform. And that's it.
see, that's amazing.
If we can get to that point, especially with the open teams, we're going to be light years ahead of what any other federation has done.
Because it definitely adds up. And it definitely, travel, all the expenses start to add up.
Sure.
I mean, doing the sport alone is not that expensive. However, to compete and travel and do all that starts to add up. And I think with opportunities like that, it will open up avenues for athletes who aren't as fortunate enough to be able to travel all the time.
Right.
So you never know. There could be another Jesus Oliveras out there.
There is. I mean, when you think you're the best in the world,
There's always somebody better.
there's somebody better.
Always.
And I think that's why the sport just keeps evolving. Because as more people get into it, it just seems like everybody just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
I mean, if you're a genetic freak for strength right now, most likely you're playing in the NFL.
That's true. That makes sense.
I mean, in my strength conditioning days, colleagues from other universities that worked with athletes at the D1 level that have never lifted before, first time learning how to do a hang clean, they're doing 400 plus pounds. Think about that. Never touched a weight before, and they're cleaning 400 pounds.
There's just so much overall potential out there.
Yeah. I mean, some of the athletes I worked in at 1AA school, 700-pound squat, raw squat, football training squat, walking in that way as a freshman and could do it for reps.
Yeah, you're starting to see that actually a lot, especially with the way Instagram and stuff is. I keep seeing 15-year-old kids just hitting 600-pound squats and stuff like that, and it's just, I mean, when I was in high school, no one was even near that. There was maybe one kid.
In my high school, I think there was one person that was able to squat 600.
Yeah, I don't even think anybody at my school hit 600. Everyone just, most of the time, all these kids care about is bench, and so they're excited to hit 200.
Everybody loves the bench.
That is true.
I mean, isn't today Monday? It's the International Bench Day, bench and bicep curl day at every single gym.
Well, it also seems everybody loves deadlifts now.
That is very popular now.
Back to it. The amount of 15 and 16-year-old kids that I see pulling 700-800 pounds
It's phenomenal.
it's getting insane. It's a lot. I mean, to be fair, their squats and benches aren't near it, but a lot of deadlift specialists out there.
Yep.
I
Some
think
people are just built for it.
I mean,
And I tell you what, if I'm coaching a team, I want people that have the bigger deadlift, because you can control the meat.
Yep.
You might be projected on total 5th or 10th even, when the bar hits the floor, I've seen people make up huge gaps.
You think there's that much disparity?
Yeah, I mean, deadlift. If you have the best deadlift in a group, you can do. You have control of the meet. Like, me personally, and some athletes I've worked with, like I was a good squatter, good bencher, horrible deadlifter. I'd go at a couple of national meets, like I'm going in, into the deadlift, like in third place behind a Joe Capolino or Blaine Sumner, and then the bar hits the ground, and then all of a sudden I'm in fifth.
I guess that makes sense, because if everybody's bench and squat are the same, or similar, I should say, the deadlift will make a big difference. But I always felt like a lot of times it's the bench that makes a big difference.
I think a lot of people give up a lot of weight. They leave it on the platform on the bench. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a decent bench, you can maintain a position,
Yeah. I mean, right now at the national level, we have one athlete on the raw side, Jonathan Keiko. He's got a very good squat. He's rarely maybe, a bronze medalist in the squat or fourth or fifth place. Goes out and smokes the bench. World record bench, and then a very serviceable, like top end, not the best, but top end deadlift. And that's rare. Like his bench is so far ahead of his competitors in the weight class that he does jump ahead, makes up for having just a serviceable squat.
Yeah.
I mean, and a serviceable squat is still very high. But at the international, where you're dealing with the best of the best, like it's rare. Usually, the athletes that win the gold medal are either like have world records at each lift or very close. So they're very, very well-rounded lifters. It's rare to see somebody who's so good at one event that can dominate.
I mean, that makes sense, because it is an all-around thing. Yeah. But it just feels like at that top level, a lot of people's squats and deadlifts are very close to each other, but the bench has the biggest disparity.
Yeah, that's usually where there's people that, and it's body structure too. Like if you're built to deadlift, most likely you have long arms, which hurts you for the bench.
Yeah.
That is true.
So those were my two best lifts, bench and dead.
Which is rare.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the person too, because I mean I've seen people with long arms that have incredible benches, terrible deadlifts, and then great squats, which doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you got the whole genetic component. You have the whole, life component, and also what makes you up mentally. If you love the deadlift, you're going to be good at it.
That makes sense.
Like no matter what your genetic composition is.
That's why a lot of these deadlift specialists, they just keep getting stronger.
Yeah. Like
one of my athletes, he's 16. When I first started working with him, his deadlift was like, I don't know. He kept trying to pull conventional, even though he was better at sumo. So his conventional was 400, and he weighs like 160, and then sumo was like 465. But within like a couple months, he pulled over 500, and then suddenly squatted over 400, because that's all he really wanted to do, was just focus on that. And he just had he really wanted a bigger bench, but then he just started transitioning more into a bigger squat and a bigger deadlift. And you're right. I think it's just when you care so much about particular lifts, they just get better because you hyper focus on them.
Yep. You think of, every rep you do in your head, that counts.
Yeah, the visualization. Yeah. I think visualization is a big tool.
Yeah, when you're thinking about it, you're driving home from the gym and like, oh, I missed that weight, or that felt good. Like, that's contributing to your future success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, never imagine yourself failing a rep.
Yeah.
Always imagine yourself getting the rep. I don't care what the weight is. Just imagine yourself getting the rep. Because the second you start thinking that you're going to fail, your body's going to want to fail because that's all you think about.
Yeah, and I've been around a lot of the top end lifters a long time, and that's the very unique combination of having everything genetically, having everything mentally, like, and that's where the sport's at now. Like, you need the whole package, which I think is fantastic because we're gonna see what the capabilities of humans are.
Oh, definitely.
I consider myself just an average person. Okay, I'm bigger than the average person, height-wise and weight-wise, and better than the average person strength-wise. But overall, I'm like the average person. Like, I don't have that unique genetic component in any one aspect of powerlifting. And I was able to have some success as a lifter. I'm never a world champ. Not a world champion or anything like that. Best I can claim is Western Hemisphere champion. But I've been around enough athletes. Like, I probably worked with about 500 college kids at Northeastern, probably more. And you can see them very early as a coach. Like, they have the right proportions, right, to be a good squatter, a good bencher, a good deadlifter. And then they have the right mental makeup to go with it. Like, you see people that have, they're tall and lanky, but have the mental makeup, and they'll be good at something. You see people that have the right genetic makeup, but don't have the right mental makeup, and they'll be good, but they're not going to be great. It's very rare to see that one person who has it all. Like Ali Emblin, like, she's got the right build and the right mental makeup.
Yep.
She doesn't always show it, but deep down inside she has it.
Absolutely, she does.
So those people are rare, and you get to see what the potential is for humans.
I think it goes to say though that just because you don't have the genetic makeup though doesn't mean you can't be a top
you can
level.
outwork it. You can outwork it.
Mental is more important than physical.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, when I first started powerlifting, Bob coached both myself and another 97 pound girl, just tiny, but a genetic freak phenomenon. She was just amazing, but she had no mental aptitude, right? She to get her to the gym, we had to go pick her up to get her to the gym.
Oh, I hate to see that.
We both went to our first Worlds together, and because she didn't have the mental strength, and Worlds is a whole different ball game. It's challenging, right? She didn't do as well as she could have, and after that, she just quit.
You see that a lot, the wasted potential.
She could have been an all-time best. She was just so gifted.
But you're right. Some people just don't have the mental, like, fortitude or want or need.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think mental is much more important.
Yeah.
Would you say, Mike? You can outwork.
You can outwork poor genetics. Like, that's a common saying in sports and football and stuff, but it's rare to have that whole package, and I think we're starting to see that in powerlifting now, where people have the genetic potential, the mental potential, the drive.
Do you think it's always been there and the sport's just more popular?
I think we're now that the sport's more popular, we're getting more people exposed to it.
Because, I mean, if you look at, like, powerlifting 20 years ago, an 1,800 pound total at like 275 was considered super impressive, and now an 1,800 pound total is being done at way lower body weight.
Yeah. Like, numbers like Ed Cohen used to put up were like so far out in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Now the people have gone by that easily.
It just keeps advancing, and you think. I sometimes think, I was like, what's the genetic limit? Do you think there is?
We won't know.
Like, genuinely, do you think there's going to be a genetic limit?
There is. I mean, mathematically there is. But will we find it in our lifetimes? I don't know.
It'd be kind of cool. But then it'd be really depressing afterwards to know that it's never going to go above that.
I think there's always going to be runs at it. I mean, Jesus just broke Ray Williams' squat record.
Yeah.
I mean, people thought that was going to stand forever. It was a 477 or 478 kilos.
I mean, yeah, records are constantly being broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, on the equip side, the things that Blaine Sumner did, 515 kilo squat. I mean, we have raw people approaching that right now.
That is true. Like, I feel like, this is my opinion, and I think you'll agree because you're an equipped guy. I think equipped has more room to go higher.
Yes.
Like, you hit a genetic limit, but because of the gear and learning how to use it, you can go even farther.
Yeah, like I said it a couple of times yesterday. It's like raw lifting to me is like driving my car, my Nissan Sentra. Equip lifting is like driving a, race car.
Yeah.
I made it for a couple of reasons. Like, you need the pit crew if you're driving a race car. You need people around you. You need that team, which makes it fun. And you can make little alterations and small adjustments of where moving a seam on a shirt, bench press shirt, half an inch can make a 20-pound, 50-pound jump on a bench. On the raw side, it is all you, and there's nothing you can really do. It's rare to see people miss a weight on raw lifting and come back and hit it.
Yeah.
It's common.
Yeah, equipped. It's so fun. People will miss a weight, go up 90 pounds, and just demolish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
really
that's so exciting.
Yeah, it's two different sports. It really is. I mean, they're doing two different sports that's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But there's different approaches on each.
That makes sense. I know, Tammy, you're not the biggest fan of equipped, are you?
No, I'm actually I support it because I have seen. Let me define equipped.
Not multiply?
Not multiply.
That's the fun stuff.
I have seen longevity, especially in our masters athletes, in the equip side, where I see a lot less longevity in the raw
Which
side.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a lot less pressure on the joints.
You're protected, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
You have, I mean, I like the idea that it's safer, but it's more painful. Because it definitely feels more painful.
And it's more dangerous. But
It is, yeah.
But it's safer.
It's more dangerous, but it's more safer.
Yeah.
It's.
Okay.
I mean, it makes it because you're pushing more weight and
Oh
everything.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I just think it's so exciting. I mean, raw is definitely exciting too, but it's very interesting because if you look at the numbers, the biggest disparity is between bench,
Yes.
squat, and deadlift. A lot of the numbers are very similar.
It's crazy, right?
I think actually a lot of the raw lifts are more.
There are a lot of world records on the raw side that are higher than equipped.
So let's just throw them in suits.
Let's
Let's see what happens.
been trying. One of the most impressive lifts I've ever seen, and I know Tamara was there for that, was Heather Connor, or her third deadlift. And I mean, she had the world record. I think it was 190 kilos at 47.
Jesus.
And she had a horrible day at Worlds at squat. And I actually contribute Tamara's coaching and mental help to help Heather get through the squat. She got her third squat finally. And then she went through bench, and I think she was sitting in like 5th or 4th place in going to the deadlifts. And I'm crunching the numbers, and I remember going, hey, 200 kilos would pull for third, pull for bronze medal. I go, Heather, do you want to do this? It's 10 kilos above her personal best, above the world record. And she's like, put it on the bar. And so like we put that change in, and she goes out and pulls it.
Yeah.
That's
200
But
kilos
she's
at
an amazing
47.
athlete too.
Yeah.
That is one strong woman, mentally as well as physically. So it's pretty cool.
But that's just so exciting, and that's funny that it's on the deadlift.
Yeah.
Which I consider to be the hardest to actually get pounds out of the equipment with.
Yeah, and this was a raw meat.
Raw
And-
meat.
Oh,
And I think the world record on the equipped side is probably 20 kilos less.
yeah, that's I don't understand.
But Heather, the reason why I thought Heather is like she was actually supposed to compete for us at the World Games, which is equipped, and I'm hoping to see her maybe dabble in that again in this run coming up if things pan out the way I think they might. That might be a great opportunity for her. She can go to World Games and capture a whole new set of world records.
I feel like people should at least try it.
Yeah.
If like you have the opportunity, because you never know. You never know what you're capable of, especially if you're already a top athlete.
And the thing people don't think about is like equipped. It's not you don't have to lift with all this gear.
Yeah.
You can go out there and do it raw. So everybody who's got a world record raw that's higher than equipped, I challenge you. Just
That would be honestly.
do a meet.
That's such a flex too.
Yeah.
To just go out there,
right?
no gear on, and just take the record.
One of the most impressive things I've seen in the sport, as well as Krzysztof Verbicki in the 2017 World Games. He was like because it was in Poland, and he's a Polish athlete. He was I'm pretty sure he was just there. The home country is allowed to nominate like 4 lifters. So I think he was one of the, people given access because of the location of the event. I think he squatted raw. He maybe had knee wraps, but he definitely benched raw. And then this was the guy at the time who I think he had the raw world record. He came out with a deadlift suit and pulled in 105 kilo weight class, pulled the heaviest deadlift ever done by the IPF at that point. It was like 930 pounds.
Jesus. At 105?
At 105. And then the whole place went nuts. I have video of that I snuck in my cell phone. As a fan of powerlifting, I was able to sneak my just the camera of my phone around the banner.
Perfect.
And I have an amazing shot of it and with the audience there was like the national theater for Poland. It's beautiful, and everybody going nuts. Because he broke the world record on his second and just kept going.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff. You brought this up yesterday, but I think it's a good point. With trying equipped, like doing a meet and just wearing the knee wraps.
Yeah.
Just to try it out, just to see how you like the knee wraps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great start.
Yeah, I mean my first meet in high school, I wore knee wraps and happened to wear a bench press shirt because my coach had one that was my size. And bench press shirt back then was a lot different. It's basically like a Under Armour shirt that's a little slightly.
Then they used to use denim.
There was a while that denim was used. And
It's so funny.
Right, I know.
Just a bunch of
I did
cowboys trying to bench.
I did a couple meets in APF when I was in college, and wore a double denim bench press shirt. that was weird.
Mike brought up a good point when he said that when you're a equipped lifter, you need a team around you.
Yeah.
And I think we've lost some of that in powerlifting, where it used to be very team oriented. We all traveled to Worlds together. We all was there cheering for each other during each event. It was really a lot of camaraderie and in team sportsmanship. And there's not as much of that now. But with the equipped side, there is, right? Because you need that team around you. So
Yeah, I've been to equipped worlds and raw worlds for many times now, both, and even equipped worlds. Like every night in the hotel lobby, everybody's there drinking together, having fun. it's not just within the same country. Like there'll be,
Yeah.
it's usually by language spoken.
Yeah.
Everybody hanging out together. In Denmark, I forget the name of the game. Like there's like the wooden board, almost a bowling alley thing, and you push the little things.
Like shuffleboard?
Like a shuffleboard, but it's like, I guess it's like a beer drinking game up in Wisconsin, because that whole crew is like, oh, let's play. And there was like tournaments going like the entire week with this little stupid game with these little metal discs and multi countries and stuff like that, and everybody hanging out and drinking and having fun. Raw World, it's like super business, and you might see one athlete talking to another athlete, but you could tell it's like a business thing, and they're trying to like work on a collab or something that mutually benefits each other, but there's no like just everybody hanging out.
I think the camaraderie makes you better.
It definitely makes the experience more enjoyable. I still am in contact with some of the women from other countries that I competed against
See, that's amazing.
to this day, and that, I mean, it was like a reunion every year. You go back to Worlds and it's like, oh, woohoo! You get to see everyone again.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty cool experience.
I definitely see on the Raw side, people are more inclined to be kind of solo, like be left alone. They don't want to. It's almost like people are trying to hide their secrets. Like they're.
Yeah, there's more money on the Raw side because everybody's a coach. I feel like. I mean, the big, when I was working at Midland University, we were recruiting kids out of high school. On their Instagram, bios like DM me for coaching.
Yeah, I see
I'm
that
like,
a lot.
What the heck do you know? You're a 16-year-old kid in high school.
I see that so much,
Mhm.
and it's definitely kind of
Yeah.
definitely irks me a little bit.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
For sure. So Mike had a brilliant idea at the equipped coaching seminar yesterday that we at the gym have two equipped Friday, equipped Sunday, right? So because you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So just open invitation for anyone that's wants to use equipment, is interested in it, or is using equipment to come in and train on that Friday and that Sunday.
Yeah, it just when I was in Massachusetts, Bay State Athletic Club in Situate, Mass, and it was kind of everybody gravitated there on Friday nights. There was usually Friday nights was the squad night, and we had people driving 3 hours to get there, and it was a great time. And a lot of times, everybody was friends. Everybody knew each other. Go out to eat afterwards, and there was even times where you go out to eat, and then man challenges get laid down on the table. And we're going back to the gym at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're doing tandem deadlift competitions. But yeah, and Sundays were always a big bench day, and but people would drive 3 hours each way, to be part of that. That was always just so amazing, and that's why there's one of the hotbeds for equipped lifting. There are several people in Worlds from that area, and usually top equipped lifters that are all in pockets.
Yeah.
There was a pocket up in like Boston area, Louisiana, Mississippi, Wisconsin. Like for more people to give it a try, because it is a lot of fun.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think
So-
that idea is really good.
Yeah, so we'll do it.
How many equipped lifters do we really have at this gym?
More than you think.
I feel like it's just me and Larry
Yeah, no.
and Mick.
Yeah. There's actually more, and more would be more inclined to participate in the group,
Yeah.
if it was there and available.
Even if you get some raw people that come in during that time,
Yeah.
and they see it, and they see the camaraderie and get hooked, like, you always need people to help,
Yeah.
And even if you just get somebody who's even a raw lifter, or not even a lifter, but just wants to be around it,
Mm-hmm.
you always need people to hold boards on bench day. You always need somebody to do knee
Right.
wraps. You always need spotters, right? And just creating that
That
community.
team and that community.
Yeah, that's the most important part, and I think everything will take care of itself from there.
We're pretty lucky. We have an amazing community in this gym already. And I think that'll just add a whole nother layer to it. I'm excited.
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
It makes me excited.
Yeah.
I feel lonely because I'm like the
So
only one
what-
doing it.
What time on Friday nights?
I have no
Let's
idea.
decide.
Both of you guys get up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
On
Yeah,
Friday,
yeah.
I get up at 2 in the morning.
I'm not there with you.
No, I'd have to think about that.
I mean, the ideal thing is like, when does everybody get off of work, right? People need, most people go to work and pay their bills. Of those people, how many people are willing to give it a go? I know everybody would start to gather on Friday nights at like 5 or 6 up in Massachusetts, and usually it was Sunday morning. Everybody wanted to get out before football started. On the East Coast, that's a little bit later than it is here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that makes sense. Would be evening, like 5 or 6 on Friday.
And then like 9 on Sundays. Because we're not doing the vet program on Sundays at all, right?
No, it's just Saturdays.
Yeah, so that's perfect.
We should just have the vets do Equipped. Powerlifting America should sponsor them. Be disaster. Oh my god, that'd be so hard.
It would be.
Just trying to get the body mechanics on Raw, and then they'd be like,
I
"Hey,
think-
put this suit on,
No.
and then see what happens."
I remember, when I was coaching at Northeastern with the powerlifters, and you get the kids like, "Hey, if I put this shirt on, I can bench more." They were all about it.
It is exciting, but I think people forget too. It is a technique thing.
Sure.
You're not just gonna magically.
No, lift more weight.
I mean, the first time I ever used the bench shirt, I couldn't even hit my raw max.
Yeah.
I failed it like immediately. Like I didn't understand it. It didn't make any sense at the time. I was like,
Yeah, that's one thing that irks me.
humbled me.
When people talk about like, "Oh, I wore a slingshot. I know what wearing a bench shirt's like." No, you don't.
It's a lot different.
A lot different. It might take you a month. I said to it might take you a month to get over how much it hurts, and to actually start understanding the technique.
Yeah.
Like, you have to really understand the pressures that you're feeling, and I always like try to preach to people is like, you need to know. You need to be able to like look at your shirt from your perspective and know.
I always
Where
try to
it is.
feel like
Yeah.
in my chest. If I hit a certain spot in my chest, I know it's in the right spot.
Yeah. Like, you need to know where everything's at, and when you're doing the lift and feeling the pressure, where is it pushing on me, and to really guide you, because it's hard to do it just from neurological like movement patterns.
Yeah.
Like, that's a component of it, but you need to go through it. You need to feel your way through it.
I think one of the craziest things I ever felt was I had like 2 weeks of shin splints in my arms. Because I wanted to do like a little reverse band just to see, like, just to feel the stimulus. And I did 675. And it was the first time I've ever felt my bones, like in my arm, like bow out. I could feel it in my hands, and I could feel the bones actually bow out. And I mean, I got it, but I was like, this is like, it's a feeling I can't, like, it's hard to describe. It's like I actually felt the individual sides of the bones bow out, and like my arms felt like they were going to explode.
Yeah,
You need to show him that film.
You'll feel things that you never thought were possible. Like, have you ever done like reverse bands in a shirt?
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's what
Yeah, okay,
675, I've never touched. The most I've touched without bands was 600. And so 675 felt insane to me. And that's why, like, I could feel like it all just bow out at the top. And I was like, oh my God. You kind of have to just commit too.
Yeah.
I knew if I held it too long, I was done.
Racket.
Take it. I mean, the same with squat too. You kind of like, that stimulus is so different.
But think about it, the great benefits you get from that, though. you're building the bones in your
Yeah.
exoskeleton. Like, you squat, and especially if you do a period of time, like equipped and like overloading, and like you're never gonna have like hip issues with osteopenia and osteoporosis. Like, you're not gonna, a great friend of mine, Bill Helmick, I mean, he's been lifting most of his life, and he broke his hip. He fell and broke his hip, but like he bounced back from that like nothing.
It definitely takes a lot of pain away. Because I had some hip problems. I like tore my labrum, and then ever since I started using a suit or any sort of briefs, I have like zero pain. Like, it just takes it all away, and it's quite nice.
Yeah, that's a very common thing you hear. Like, people with like hip issues, so he's with a suit on, it's gone. You can do things.
Yeah. You can do extreme things.
Yeah.
So, Mike, talk a little bit about how the nationals are going to be different.
Which nationals? We have a lot of them.
Well, all of our nationals, basically, but talk about the upcoming Open, Classic Open.
Classic Open we have here in Reno. We're trying to kind of follow the model that was set, but it's kind of the IPF will do, having the A group. So we're trying to put the best lifters together in a highly desirable to watch. Like, we're trying to have a package that's entertaining with that, where people want to watch.
It's a good idea.
So that's in Reno. The roster, by the time this is up, the roster's out. And you could see, highly, or all the top lifters are kind of grouped together in a fashion where everybody has an opportunity to compete. Try to have a minimum of top 3 in each weight class up there. Sometimes it's a little bit deeper if there's more competition. And almost like we're trying to like long term develop this for like TV, ultimately,
Which is cool.
where we can still have everybody that wants to compete and take a run at it, and everybody has the opportunity. Like, if you watch golf, I'm sure anybody watching this doesn't watch golf, but you only see on TV like the top players, the ones that have a following, you always see Tiger, even though he might be coming in like 100th place in the tournament.
That's true.
They're gonna show him, because people want to see that. But still, there might be 200 people in a tournament, and everybody has an opportunity to win, right? So, how do you mimic that, where we can develop athletes that people want to watch, and then still have an opportunity where everybody has a chance to win? Trying to do that in the powerlifting version with this A group. And we got university on Sunday, which is our second time having that meet, and that thing has more than doubled. More than doubled. Tripled, yeah. I think you're right, or more even. And after that, we have our high school nationals in Louisiana. That's on pace to have a good turnout right now, and then after that, we're all moving to Austin.
For a month.
Literally for a month.
Yep.
We're gonna have our age group nationals. Still trying to think about how we're gonna have a little bit different structure in terms of scheduling with that as well. Not quite finalized on that. And then so we have 4 days of lifting there. We have a day off of lifting. We're gonna have our general assembly for the governance side of the sport, and then we're going to have a technical meeting for Bench Press Worlds, where it's going to run for 11 days. So
long.
Yeah, we're all going to just move to Austin. We might have to get a new driver's license legally. Who knows?
And just like our Classic Open, it will be one platform, and that's why it's so long.
Yeah.
So all IPF meets, are single platform.
And even with that, it's going to be a different schedule than traditional bench
Yeah.
worlds. Or the way it's set up is all the open lifting is going to happen in the evening. In the morning, we're going to run with the masters and the juniors, sub-juniors,
I see.
to try to draw some attention to those later
Yeah, that makes sense.
sessions where there's going to be more weight lifted.
That makes a lot more sense. Because, I mean, waking
And
up
bench
early
worlds,
to...
yeah, bench worlds has never run like that before. It's always been by weight class. They would progress. They would do like M4s and then run through the weight classes, then M3s, run through the weight classes, M2s, run through the weight classes, all the way up till they get to the open. And there was always like a group of a day. If you wanted to watch like people do the best people in the world do the bench, you might have to be there at 9:00 in the morning to like the next day. Where this is like a constant stream of the best lifting. At the end of the day, where like that prime time, or when do people watch TV?
He's really trying to, like, showcase it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Drive more viewers and everything.
And this is with the intent of trying to support our athletes.
No, absolutely.
Because viewership is critical to them. Followers is critical to them. I
Yep.
mean, that's really important. So what can we do as an organization to help them achieve those goals? You
Yeah.
know? Well, we can't keep doing what we've always done. And that's another thing about this organization is we're not in a box. We're not doing what powerlifting has always done because powerlifting has always done it, or previous organizations have done it. We're looking at other industry, other sporting groups to try to pick the best of the best and implement it into our process.
I really like that. I think it's just going to make it explode even more. Because, I mean, you know how many times people ask me, like, they've asked me, like, when is this person lifting? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I mean, 5 a.m. I have no idea. To just make it way more accessible
Yeah,
is, like, I think it's going to help a lot.
I think so too.
and things are changing. I've noticed in the past year and a half. I travel a lot for powerlifting. Kind of always have for the past 10 years. And I'm always wearing powerlifting clothes. But the past year and a half, I've gotten stopped in just about every trip, either on the plane, at the airport. Somebody goes, "Oh, powerlifting." And it's either I used to powerlift or, I've heard of that. I've seen that. Like, every trip, there's something. If not every plane, there's something. Whether it's like a person sitting next to me or a flight attendant, everywhere I go, it's like somebody's stopping me and asking, talking about powerlifting. I've never experienced that before. Like, the sport as a whole is growing.
Oh, it definitely is.
And we gotta make it mainstream. I'm gonna get to the point where I have to, like, just have plain clothing, I'm traveling the
Very
America.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, just like, nobody recognizes me.
We gotta have that anti-paparazzi, like, clothing on. Hides the flash.
Yeah, start wearing, like, ballet shirts or something.
Dude, you gotta do hood and
That's
sunglasses.
Oh,
just wrong.
The problem is, most of my clothing right now is powerlifting related.
I mean, most of my clothing is lifting related too. Yeah, I'm really hoping the sport's going to keep growing, and it definitely seems like it's growing a lot.
So we're also bringing Master Worlds to the U.S., to Reno, in 2026.
It took you about a year to convince you.
I know. I'm like, no, we can't do it. Until we went to Mongolia, and then I'm like, oh, we can do this. And a whole lot better.
10 times better.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no comparison now.
2026, huh?
Yeah,
That's going to come up quick.
it is.
It always comes up quick.
But what's nice is we have the same venue, so we can kind of vet out maybe some potential issues, how to
Makes
make it
sense.
better during Classic Open. And then we also have Bench Worlds in Austin, so we get our feet wet in that world, right?
Yeah.
So we can use the experience learned from both of those events to make a really outstanding event in October of 2026.
Yeah, I think Reno is the perfect storm for a Masters World Championship.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, you got everything here. You got
Casinos,
you got skiing, you got Lake Tahoe not far
It's
away.
beautiful.
Um,
You know, all the worlds that I've been to this last year, the one thing that was really frustrating is there was no place that you could walk to get food, or very limited, right? There was nothing to do. There was no entertainment schedules. So there's no place to really go and listen to music, and we're approaching this way different. So we have a whole, as you know, downtown, there's hundreds of restaurants that people can walk to. There's tons of different entertainment venues that people can go to.
like
Axe throwing.
Oh yeah.
like the fact one of the issues that we had at Equipped Open Worlds is they had the Eurosport session on Wednesday night, and we had a bunch of lifters in there. By the time we got out, every single restaurant in the entire city was closed.
Yeah. See, and we're a 24-hour town.
Yeah, so basically
nothing is ever
everything's-
closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it'll be a really good environment for the athletes.
I think it's it'd be pretty interesting. Maybe it would shine some more exposure too,
Mm-hmm.
especially having worlds here.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It's exciting.
And registered athletes get to train at the gym.
Did you look at that? So it's definitely gonna put more exposure on our gym too.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, already Open Nationals is too.
I think so. Yeah.
We'll have to hit up American Iron for a major sponsorship.
Mm.
Maybe PA should sponsor American Iron.
I'll have to talk to the treasurer about that.
No, that's not going to happen.
That seems like a conflict of interest.
Yeah. Yep.
So what you do is you just give it to me.
Right. As a representative.
Yeah, I'll be the middleman.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Send you the check. It's in the mail.
But then brings up the topic,
Which topic?
the one that we were talking about earlier.
Biology lab?
No.
Yeah. Most biology lab.
I mean, that's one thing, yeah. No, it has to do with a certain number.
21? Blackjack?
No, that's a good number, though.
Okay.
Just an article.
An article.
Oh, Article 14. Oh.
I didn't want to say it.
You know, I'm probably going to get my ass kicked for saying this. But just because we're upholding Article 14 with Powerlifting America, it doesn't mean all of us believe in Article 14.
Yep.
All right, we are the most important thing to us is keeping a viable organization that the athletes can compete in to get to world events, right? Meaning we have to follow IPF rules and regulations.
Yeah.
But I will say that quite a few of us do not agree with Article 14 at all because we don't think it's equitable or fair, and we know what we have to offer. We don't need to exclude people from being able to compete in other places to try to make it.
You've told me before you like competition.
Absolutely.
So it's
Competition makes you better.
exactly.
Right? You get better because of that. And to say that you can't compete in another organization if you're going to compete in ours is just bullshit. So, but ask me how I really feel about it. So it's more than just talk. We're doing some things to try to get IPF to understand that Article 14 is actually illegal. It violates antitrust law in the U.S. So we're actively working on trying to resolve that issue. It's an organization. We can't be out there saying that this is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Although I kind of did, but
I can cut it out if you need me to.
we're really passionate about creating the best environment that we possibly can for the athletes, and that is Article 14 doesn't.
Here's the thing. Our predecessor was kicked out because they chose not to follow the rules. Rather than staying and fighting for change, they just took their ball and went home. Right? So, don't want to make that same mistake.
All right.
We're going to follow the rules of the IPF, but we're going to fight for what's best for our athletes.
Right. Well said, Mike.
I
Thank
think
you.
that's the proper way to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you can always follow the rules. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them.
Yeah. And that goes back to being the responsible governing body of the sport in the United States.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think we might have to bounce here pretty soon. I'm getting death stares.
You guys are approaching the time. Well, it was fun. Got off to a bumpy start, but let's just say we're all under the weather.
Yeah.
We're all not doing. I mean, the sniffles and coughs and hacking shit up right before this was pretty extreme.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, I thought I was going to have to go find a clinic to go get some antibiotics. So
You can go to like a Big R and just get some horse stuff.
Is that how you guys do it? Roll out here?
I mean,
that's
it's
how
an
we roll.
option,
This is Nevada, Or we could go ask one of the docs in the gym.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's probably a better route.
I'm looking forward to coming back up here in a couple of weeks and taking a long drive by Area 51.
You already did that once,
I did
didn't
that
you?
once. I got to do it again.
Yeah?
My eyes are going to be up in the sky.
Yeah?
I'm not going to see anything.
I'm not going to see shit.
There's a lot more crazier shit if you just drive out to like Fernley or something, actually.
Right.
You see more crazy shit just walking around the streets in Reno.
Oh, yeah. If you just go downtown at like 8 p.m., you will see the nuttiest stuff.
When I was out here back in December, there was a guy preaching and confessing his sins on loudspeaker, and how he's a changed man. I'm like, you don't see this stuff everywhere.
I mean, you could probably just take a walk through my neighborhood. You will see some stuff.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring people here. We're trying to bring people here.
Look, there's plenty of nice areas. It's just I decided to not pick the nice area.
Yeah, you like a little spice in your life, right?
Yeah, exactly. Keeps it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that they're all actually everyone there is pretty friendly. They're just crazy. Just kind of how it is. The rest of Reno's great. It's a great place to be.
It really is pretty
So
amazing.
we'll have tours of your
it is,
neighborhood.
man.
Right?
Yeah, we'll do tours of
Yeah, yeah, right.
Honestly, if you just go like one block over, it's totally different.
I believe it.
It's actually there's a ton of food by my house. It's been changed quite a bit.
I've been all over the country
Yeah,
and every place
close
is like
to
that.
Old Town, huh?
Yeah.
Midtown, yeah. Yeah, we have lots of great entertainment, lots of really good food.
There's always
Jerry
something.
Seinfeld's coming here.
Yeah.
I said, hey, he's coming in April. Saw the sign at the ballroom. We might have to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? We always got stuff.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks,
right.
Brandon.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.